official that US is out of recession because we have seen their GDP also nearly 3.1. So उससे कितना फायदा मिलेगा आपको? आपको क्या लगता है कि वो Indian businesses को कैसे help करेगा?
I think what we are seeing as far as the international economy and US is concerned, clearly the worst is behind us. However, a lot of these early indicators that you are seeing are because of the fiscal stimuli. If you look at the last quarter in the US, the cash for clunkers, which is the support given to people for buying cars, had a major impact on those numbers. The challenge there is that private consumption or private demand has still to recover, and it is not going to do so easily at a time when the labor markets remain weak, unemployment levels are very high, and also the individual is deleveraging. They are trying to reduce the level of debt that they have, as individuals. So the combination of this is going to result in quite a significant challenge when the US government and other governments in the Western economies start reducing the fiscal stimuli that they have provided.
You are looking at other economies also apart from UK and US. So how much do you see the spread of revenues in these emerging economies?
So, our business from the emerging economies is, still small compared to UK and the US. However, it is in that area that we are seeing the most rapid growth. That is the area where we are seeing the most opportunity, and we are actively competing for a lot of business in those countries, whether it is Asia or Middle East, Africa. We are competing for a lot of business there.
Do you see any percentage growth, if you could quantify that, like by what rate it is growing, and maybe 5 years down the line, where do you see it?
So, if you're talking about the growth that we are seeing in these markets, the market is so diverse that in individual countries the growth is different. So, for example, we've seen a fair amount of growth in countries like Indonesia. We have also seen a fair amount of growth in New Zealand. We are seeing a number of opportunities before us in India, and of course Middle East and Africa as well. But the rate of growth or the opportunity varies from country to country. It is such a diverse area.
Talk of domestic market like India, because now telecom, there's a 3G service also will be available shortly in India. So how does that help the telecom industry in India grow, and you being pioneers in telecom software, so how do you see your business growing that way?
So clearly India is one of the growth markets for telecom, and the recent change that has happened in the structure of that industry, where a number of new players have come in, has created a demand for working with them to help them set up their systems so that they can go live. And we are competing for that business, and we see quite significant opportunity there.
You have recently got a 750 crore deal from Etisalat DB. Do you see these kind of deals more in future?
Well, certainly at this point of time there are a number of new operators, and there are a number of such opportunities available in the market, some of which we are competing for. Will this continue? I think there will be this period, and then there will be some period of stability, because there are not going to be continuously new operators. However, the size of the telecom business in India is such that there will always be opportunity for people like us to do business here.
अब लेते हैं एक छोटा सा ब्रेक, मिलते हैं आपसे ब्रेक के बाद. वेलकम बैक. संजय, आपने अभी जैसे पहले ब्रेक के पहले बात की कि टेलीकॉम मार्केट इंडिया में अभी भी पोटेंशियल है, काफी वास्ट है, मगर अगर एक चीज देखा जाए तो टेलीकॉम एक हिसाब से उसकी जो ग्रोथ स्टोरी है वो कहीं ना कहीं इम्पैक्ट हो रही है, मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ टैरिफ्स. बट ऑन द अदर साइड, ऑन द सॉफ्टवेयर साइड, जिस हिसाब से 3G आएगा, उसके बाद 4G आएगा, तब आपको इंडिया की पिक्चर कैसे दिख रही है इन टर्म्स ऑफ टेलीकॉम सेक्टर?
In terms of the telecom sector, I'm not really an expert as far as their business model is concerned, but what you see in the media, I see in the media, clearly it is going through a process where pricing is impacting their performance. However, if you look at the customer end, is there a growth? There still continues to be a growth. From our perspective as service providers to the sector, the fact that there are new service providers in the telecom side, whether it is Etisalat or others, is throwing up a big opportunity.
Apart from telecom, you have said couple of BPO centers also in India. So where do you see BPO business now, and how do you see revenues coming from this side?
We got into BPO about 3 years back, and we have seen dramatic growth in this area. And the growth for us has come servicing customers in Europe, North America, as well as India.
If you talk about Mahindra Satyam, it's likely that it will get merged after 2010, maybe post July 2010. So in terms of the domain, both are different, and you can use each other's expertise. So do you see shift of employees from Tech Mahindra to Mahindra Satyam, and going forward, where do you see the revenue model of both these companies, in collaboration with each other?
Well, I think clearly Tech Mahindra today focuses on telecom, whereas Mahindra Satyam services a number of verticals, whether it is manufacturing or the pharmaceutical sector, etc. It services a number of verticals. And at this point of time, this focus remains the same. What we are doing is, where there is synergy, where the two companies can work together and create a greater opportunity, they are certainly doing that. And in terms of employees moving, certainly where there are skill requirements, people will be moved from one company to another. However, at this point of time, the movement of people is more from Mahindra Satyam to Tech Mahindra. We have almost 400-500 people working with us, which is because Mahindra Satyam went through a phase where they had people in excess of their needs, and they were good people, skilled people whom we could put to use, and therefore those people are working at Tech Mahindra today.
You also paid way for Mahindra Satyam in one of the deals. So what has been the reason behind that?
So as I said, it depends on capabilities in both companies.
But what I'm talking about was telecom deal.
Right. So even if you look at telecom, okay, I'll give you an example. For a very large North American customer of ours, they had a need on the enterprise side. Now that is a huge capability in Mahindra Satyam. In Tech Mahindra, that was one aspect of the customer's business that we had not really made an impact. So we took the CIO of that company to Mahindra Satyam, and he saw the capability there on the enterprise side, and we are very hopeful that we will be able to progress the business there.
Apart from Tech Mahindra and Mahindra Satyam, if we shift our focus to Indian economy now, so where do you see Indian economy right now, in terms of capacity, potential for various sectors like IT, telecom, which is yet on a growth mode only?
Well, the Indian economy clearly has been one of the most resilient economies in these difficult times. We have seen industrial production recover quite significantly. We are beginning to see exports recover, and as things stand, things are looking positive. If you look at the next year, the biggest challenge I think for us is the fiscal deficit, which will have to be addressed as we go along. However, the timing will have to be chosen, as the government has said. The support and stimuli is still required to ensure that the economic recovery continues.
So fiscal deficit remains a problem for India.
I think it's a challenge. Yeah.
It's a challenge. Sonjoy Anand का मानना है कि fiscal deficit में सुधार लाने की जरूरत है. Otherwise, India की growth story intact है. Thank you for talking to us, Sanjay.